Hey there, folks. Nathan the Jukebox here with kind of a first time thing for the channel, which is pretty exciting because today I'm actually interviewing Pennsylvania's Kiki and the Boubas. They're an up and coming punk band from the Lehigh Valley region and also just genuinely really cool people who I've been lucky enough to interview on the channel today. And I've been meaning to bring interviews as a form of kind of content to the channel since really I began it years ago. And I've just never really gotten the opportunity to do that, and I feel very lucky in getting to do this, especially with a genuinely cool, interesting band that I have a lot of respect for, and hopefully that means I get to introduce anyone watching this to a pretty rad band and organization as well. So before I get off the rails and I start yapping about how this is a pretty big deal for the channel, and how this is kind of a big milestone for me, and things like that, I do just want to genuinely give a heartfelt thank you to all members of Kiki and the Bobas, in particular their vocalist Sunshine, for helping get this together and setting things up with me, doing this with me, and above all else, from my perspective at least, being a major part of me taking the next step forward with this channel. Because even though I don't get the opportunity to post nearly as much as I would like to, it's interviews like these that are really at the core of what I want to eventually do regularly with this channel. So I really just want to say, again, thank you so much to them. Please go check out their music and the nonprofit that they represent. And, overall, I just want to say, without further ado, thank you for watching this, and here is my time spent with Kiki and the Bobas. Before we properly get into the questions and everything like that, I just want to ask if each of you want to respectively introduce yourselves, and your particular roles within the band.
Do you guys want me to start?
Yeah, you're the front
Okay.
woman, so.
Alright, so I am the front woman. We are Kiki and the Bobas. I guess I'm the Kiki. I am our lead singer. I'm gonna pass it on to Kalina because you're next to me.
Oh,
my
okay,
screen.
cool. Yeah, I'm Kalina. I am one of the three Bobas. And basically, we have this kind of backstory that we kind of created Kiki to help us create music. And I am the electric guitarist in the whole mix. So that's me. Yeah. So Ariel, I think, is next to me.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ariel. I'm the bass player, and I'm one of the other Bobas. So much it.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Lita. I'm one of the three Boubas, and I am the drummer.
Heck yeah.
Yay!
Thank you guys, and of course, I just again appreciate you being here and everything. Thank you so much for that, and just to get right into it, I know, of course, as kind of is an integral part with your band, you are a part of the nonprofit organization Lehigh Valley Girls Rock and the Band Factory program, and I know that you're currently running a fundraiser alongside a variety of other really great groups who I'm sure people could also be aware of by checking out your own music and stuff. But just for the sake of anyone who's watching this, reading this, who might be interested in supporting LVGR but doesn't really necessarily know what they're all about, could maybe one of you or some of you just give a quick rundown about what that fundraiser is all about and what you guys are hoping to achieve with that?
I
So-
think Sun knows the most.
Yeah. I've been around with Lehigh Valley Girls Rock for a while, and it's mostly to fundraise for their Get Loud camp. And I think they run after school programs now as well for young femme presenting and trans youth to learn to play music, learn to build a community, write songs, play together in a band, and they fund mentorship for music. They fund lended instruments and equipment for music making and stuff like that.
Okay,
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, wonderful. I was gonna say, I've personally, known of and had some vague connection with LVGR for a while at this point, so I can definitely concur. They are a great organization. So, of course, appreciate all four of you, doing what you do in, kind of the name of LVGR as well. And, I mean, like I said, you being a part of the sort of band lab kind of, session sort of program that they have, how did that affect the band's formation? Coming together, were you sort of just like paired up, or did you go into it knowing each other, knowing you wanted to collaborate in some way?
That's a good
Lita, do you want to
question.
answer?
Yeah, sure. So, we all were friends beforehand. We all like kind of found each other at different like times. Like
Mm.
I found Sun in high school, we're fiancés. I found Kalina during beauty school, and then I found Ariel through Kalina. And it was all like we were like just saying like, oh, like what if we became a band? It was just like a what if scenario. And then Kalina was like, why don't we just become the band? So it was, and then Sun kind of brought up the idea of kind of doing Band Factory with LVGR, and we thought that would be like an amazing opportunity to not only like get us started, get our name out, but also to support our like community in the process.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So that kind of like drew you into not just like LVGR in particular, but like the Band Lab program in particular, that ability to kind of like, pay it back to the community.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, so, I mean, I suppose I do want to ask, at the end of the day, being a part of that, is that something that's kind of almost like a core value for the band? Not just like being a part of this particular organization, but being able to, develop and also kind of give back to that community as well?
I find as like a punk band, there's nothing more punk and like resistance than building a strong community, building people together.
Yeah.
So being able to give back to our community and work with them, like we have fundraising plans to like work with small businesses and small artists. So
Mhm.
very excited to do that. Very excited to like uplift others and not just ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, totally. I was gonna say, I mean, in that case, have there been opportunities presented to you through whether it be like LVGR as an institution or just via your connection with, the community in general in the Lehigh Valley that you think you've kind of gotten that you wouldn't really get anywhere else? Because, I know you mentioned working with a lot of like local businesses, local groups. I imagine there's, some connections you have or some opportunities you've seen both for yourself and for others that you probably wouldn't get anywhere else.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna drop a little surprise. I'm not sure when this interview will come out, but we are planning on releasing a band like fanzine. So
Nice.
we want to support a bunch of like poets, visual artists, and stuff of that sort to like come together and put something together for LVGR.
Yeah, okay, wow, that is actually really cool. And I'm glad that you mentioned not knowing when this interview will come out because I don't know either. But no,
It's a
that
surprise.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's great to hear though. Do you know when that will come out? Is that just like kind of in the works TBA release date or
Very TBA, very like in the works. We're planning around Halloween, but
Right, yeah. I mean, I imagine
we'll
you're
see.
busy with like setting up for like debut show and stuff like that and everything, I
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. But like are you planning to do like a physical thing, like kind of more of a like digital almost newsletter kind of format?
I think we're doing both, like a digital copy and physical copies as well.
Oh wow, nice, nice. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I mean that's really cool, actually. Yeah, sick. That's actually really cool. Okay, so yeah, in that case, I want to go directly to just the band itself, completely, removed from everything else. I think a lot of people who are familiar with, you and your presence on social media and everything are kind of immediately drawn in by your name because there are a lot of like X and the Y's type bands out there and stuff like that. But I don't think I'm wrong in saying that, Kiki and the Bobas kind of has more of a, more of a story, more of a weight behind it than the average name like that. So, do one of you want to maybe kind of explain where that name sort of comes from?
Son,
Does anyone else know? Oh, it's me again? Okay.
Yep.
So
you know
I'm a
it. You
psychology
know.
student
Right.
and I love like psychological like experiments and effects. And there's something called the Kiki and Boba effect, which is when you associate certain words and sounds with certain shapes and textures. So Kikis are very sharp and spiky, rough edged like shapes and sounds. Bobas are very soft and round and bubbly. And so yeah, we are a Kiki, a very spiky and like rough band, but we're also a girl rock band. We like to be bubbly and round. So
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, it does sound like that's something that kind of isn't just necessarily, reference to like personal interest and stuff like that, but also something that kind of goes to more like the core kind of almost essence of the band from the way you describe it.
For sure,
yeah,
for
because
sure.
we're hard rock, we're rough and edgy, but we're bubbly and fun.
Right,
Very
yeah.
versatile.
Yeah, definitely.
Versatile, versatile.
I was gonna say, so like musically speaking, do you kind of try to when it comes to like those harder edges? Because I know that you've mentioned you do like even label yourselves and musically would be considered a punk band, which obviously is a genre with a legacy of being abrasive and kind of in your face, But mentioning that you kind of have like your softer, more lighthearted influences, do you tend to try and incorporate those all at once to kind of make something maybe a bit more accessible, or do you kind of like to sort of explore the spectrum in terms of like abrasiveness musically?
As of, we have two songs written so far, and I feel like they're a bit of both ends of the spectrum. One is very like sad and edgy, and the other is very like bubbly and in your face happy.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah, cool. I was gonna say, I do think it is really interesting to see a band like yourselves kind of going, at least in terms of name, from the angle of like psychology and stuff like that, considering, I mean, obviously it goes without saying, punk is a genre that has a lot of ties with like, political and at times like psychological thematics, and I would say that just based on name alone, your band is no exception to that, and I think that especially right now in the current like social and political climate of the world, women and queer people making very like again angry in your face music is just as I'll put it lightly and say polarizing now
Mhm.
as it was say 30, 40, 50 years ago, and unfortunately not much has really changed in that regard as far as that perception goes publicly. Do you kind of intend to have some sort of like socio-political edge to your music in any particular way, or do you think that maybe just kind of your existence being just women and people coming from minority groups in general just kind of makes that statement on its own?
Lita, I think
Because
you will
I was gonna
have
say, I
some
feel
good
like this is a very
input.
Lita question.
Really? Yeah, so I think honestly it's a little bit of both. Because honestly our existence in the punk scene, I definitely want to be like really out there, but also we do absolutely plan on definitely making songs that have much more meaning than just like uh average songs, I guess. I don't know, like it has like a lot of socio-political like meanings and stuff like that. um
A political
and
diss track is planned, if you will.
a
For
political diss
sure.
track,
For
yes.
sure.
So
For sure.
yeah, it's definitely, I would say definitely a little bit of both in that regard.
Hmm.
Right.
We
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
keep
Kind
it
of.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like trying to find that like happy, like kind of middle ground almost, sort of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, cool. I was gonna say because I mean, like you said, there is kind of that factor of just like existing as people is kind of in a way its own sort of rejection of establishment. But I digress. You are at this point still kind of introducing yourself to an
Hmm.
audience for the first time, and I mean, obviously that kind of comes with the inevitable question of like who are your influences and things like that, like very boring questions. But I will do kind of want to ask like in terms of like introducing yourself to someone, trying to like kind of hook them in a way, do you have anyone that you very directly draw from and kind of would almost like compare yourselves to in any way, or do you kind of consider yourselves a little more idiosyncratic?
Um, I
Hmm.
think we can't really put ourselves into a particular box. We're
Mm-hmm.
very like we want to make all different types of musics
Yeah.
that like we vibe with individually and collaboratively. So yeah, I don't really think we have a specific vision per se, but we definitely want to have fun. We definitely want to rock. We definitely want to say stuff that is meaningful, that people can relate to, and something that you can have fun to and express all the emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Definitely very experimental
Hmm.
and just trying things out. And it kind of goes along with like the Kiki and Boba's name, where we just kind of like test things out and see what we like and just
Hmm.
have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
starting things out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was gonna say, and I mean, so far I have seen that you've kind of immediately introduced yourself with, the little bit of promotional material that you have, put out so far. I have a flyer right here given to me by Sunshine, actually. It's probably not gonna show up the best on my camera, but to anyone who maybe watching this, I swear it's a really cool flyer, and you can find it on their Instagram, which I will link in the description. But my point is that this flyer and the aesthetics of your logo as well kind of have this sort of like mad sciency, like kind of like semi spooky sort of sci-fi kind of aesthetic with them and stuff like that. Is that kind of the planned style and aesthetic for the band, like this almost like kind of like gothic, almost like neo horror punk kind of style, or is that just like what you're going through right now and then you plan to change it up at some point, or is that just like what the core like style is for you?
I'm gonna pass this to Lita again if you want to explain our band's backstory and
Uh,
concepts.
Band lore. Yeah, it's definitely still in the works, definitely still concepts, but basically this idea of the three Bobas are like mad scientists who are really into their current experiment of testing people's emotions and reactions to certain sounds and genres of music. And they decide to create this like Frankenstein being that we're calling like Franken Kiki or Kiki. So they kind of like create this like singer for the band, like this front woman for the band who is very like gothic Frankenstein-esque. And I do like the current idea that we have, but I would not doubt in the future if we do end up changing things up and stuff like that. But as for right now, it's very mad sciencey, very very gothic horror punk band.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah,
sure.
right. Yeah, I was gonna say, and I mean, so far I think that aesthetic has been, really interesting because it's had this like very DIY kind of feel to it that, still, leans in really heavy and is like very earnest in its presentation. And I'm just kind of wondering because, you mentioned sort of having that like fanzine thing that you're planning to do. Do you kind of intend to explore the lore of the band in any particular way through that medium?
I would,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're definitely gonna lean through making more music that like expresses the band's story and stuff. We have a song planned already with that in mind, so
Right.
For
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, do you plan on doing, as far as like studio released music goes? I know you may not like really be that far along where you're super set on anything in particular,
mm,
but like, do you plan on making that a regular kind of theme of the band, at least as far as studio work goes, like going in a more like kind of conceptual direction lyrically?
I
S-
what do you think? Ariel, do you
so
have any thoughts?
Um, not, not on this
she's here for
question.
the vibes.
Yeah, I had some other thoughts, but they were really like past questions. um, we could try that in the future, but like you guys said, we're just gonna change eventually. I don't know. I don't know if I like forever.
Yeah, I think especially with Halloween right now, we definitely are leaning towards the storyline and everything.
Yeah.
But I definitely do feel like it could like change throughout time and maybe calm down a little bit after Halloween, but I could be wrong. We could go a different way and go leaning more into it. It's
Mm.
really up
We
to
could
like
calm down. We could hype it up and take to the max.
we
Or
might calm
very
down for a
dramatic.
bit and
Yeah.
go back to it. Like it's really whatever we feel like in the moment, to be honest.
We
Yeah.
love our
Living for a
dramatic.
dramatic flair. Yep.
Yep.
Yes. It's always dramatic. At least you'll know that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, I am just kind of curious to see, what happens and everything because, I mean, of course, I think punk, more than any other genre of music, has had a history of, like, horror themed kind of bands and stuff like
Mhm.
that, where, like, that was their thing. That was, their kind of, like, visual selling point, at least. So,
Yeah.
I am very interested to see what happens with that, whether you kind of choose to move in a different direction or not after that. But I
Yeah.
actually do have another question specifically for you, Lita. I'm trying to make these like a little more open across the board, but this is for you because I know that you are like thus far at least like the primary visual arts kind of like graphic designer. You design like the flyer and everything. So, I do want to kind of talk about that specifically with you because you do have like that kind of, you mentioned the lore, like that sort of Frankenstein reanimator-ish kind of like style going on, like, almost like visual storytelling with the flyer and even kind of in the logo. So I do want to ask, do you have a background in like promotional art or anything like that? Or is this just something that you're, specifically doing for the band? Is it something that you're also trying to pursue elsewhere?
Okay, I've kind of like always been like an artist.
Mm,
I haven't pursued that in any way, or at least like my visual art in any way. I've definitely taken like film classes. I've taken like beauty. I went to beauty school, but as for like my visual art, I haven't done anything with that. Sometimes I take commissions, but it's not anything like super set in stone. It's just something really fun that I want to do. And I think especially in like projects that are my own, I have like very like specific ideas. So I like the fact that I can kind of put that on a graphic and I could be like, yeah, this is us. This is like how I see us and this is how like the band sees ourselves.
Hmm.
So I like that I can do that, and I definitely do want to work with other artists with our band in the future. So it won't just be me. I'll definitely love to collaborate with other artists, but yeah, it's just sort of like a hobby of mine that I have. I've one too many hobbies.
right. No, I was gonna say yeah. No, I was gonna say it's really interesting though, because like I said, there is that kind of like DIY aspect of it and everything. And I mean, at this point, do you see yourself like, again, going back to like kind of connecting with like your audience, your fan base? Do you see yourself kind of like trying to collaborate with people in that regard, like reaching out to your own community and kind of like bringing them in some way or another, whether it's for like promotional things or for the general visual arts related to your band, like kind of getting that like audience interaction integrated into just the general existence of the group?
Oh, that'd be a super cool idea. Yeah. Um,
Like
you're
fan art.
yeah, stuff like that. That'd be really cool to have some sort of like event or something where like I can bring the community together to make something really cool. That is definitely a really cool idea that I would like to like experiment in the future, for sure.
All right, yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, and I also want to kind of mention, regarding the sort of aesthetic of the band is, on the page that you have for, the fundraising related to Kiki and the Bobas, which, again, I'll link in the description. On that page, you and elsewhere on your social media, on Instagram, you kind of refer to like the audience as, your lab rats and things like that. You have like, again, like the very like, mad science experimental kind of thing going on. And you kind of refer to your audience as people you're experimenting on, which I think is really interesting. And you have your first your upcoming show in December, and you mentioned that that's all about how people react to your music, which you kind of elaborated upon before as that being kind of a almost kind of a core element of what you're planning to do for that particular show. What does that particularly look like to you? Does that look like anything in particular, like as an experiment for the live setting?
Well, it's our debut, so I would say it's experiment to see like how are we to an audience? Does the audience like our music? Is it
Right.
get people pumped up? Are we the type of music people will want to mosh to, or is it something you
Hmm.
sway to on the sidelines? Is it a
Right.
mix of
Yeah.
both?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Something you get a reaction to for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just sort of a way of finding out where you kind of stand almost amongst like the average audience in the area at least.
Hmm. Evoke
yeah.
an emotion out of people, basically, to see.
I know another thing at the showcase they do is like the fan favorite awards to see like who cheers the most. So it's like let's record the reaction of who's cheering for which bands, and let's see how loud we can cheer for each band too.
That would be fun.
Right, yeah, nice. Okay, that's cool. Kind of like having that like inter-support system between like all the different bands that are a part of the program and everything. That's cool to see. Yeah, I mean, I again mentioning that showcase in December. Just for more context, do one of you want to kind of elaborate on what that is, what you'll be doing, and what you'll be performing there?
So we have a set list already planned with two originals and then one cover, which is a surprise. But it's one everyone knows I am hoping for. And we'll be playing, as well as the other bands. They'll announce the winners of fundraising and how much was fundraised overall. I think they're also having some of their youth campers do a show, or like a showcase there. I'm not too sure on that, but it'll be lots of fun. I'm excited to see everyone there.
Right, yeah, and I was gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is like your proper debut, right?
We are not allowed to do a show until that show.
Yeah.
You're banished from performing until then.
We are banished. I did a solo show, and that is all I'm allowed.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, legal debut. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta wait.
All right. Yeah. Cool. And I mean, with that in mind, I mean, overall, just like maybe kind of just a sort of generalized question, but how do each of you kind of feel going into that? With like these, knowing that that's like a month and a half away. I forget the
Yeah.
date. Month and a half away, but also knowing that you've had time since then to kind of prepare, and I know you've been writing a couple of original songs, preparing whatever the mysterious secret cover song is. Going into it, do you feel confident that like you're going to have a certain reaction, or are you just kind of like going in hoping for the best at this point?
I'm going in personally, hoping to just have fun and get our like foot in the door playing music. I'm not too worried about like, oh, what does anyone think? It's like, oh, how much fun do we get out of this? How exciting is it that we have a band and we get to play original music? And I'm going to pass it on to Kalina. What do you think?
So I've always loved music, so I really wanted any chance to kind of get into that. And me meeting my friends Lita, Sun, and Ariel, like we kind of just all came together and we're like, we want to do this thing, and why can't we do it? Why not? You know what I mean? And so I definitely feel like us doing this, creating the band this way, is so helpful because we have a lot of help with instruments and education on how to learn. And I feel like if we didn't do it this route, it wouldn't have been so like immediate. Like we have to get this done. We have to like meet up, do this and that, and like get it together, so this really gives us like a date to all come together and like make sure we are actually doing the thing we want to do. And it's just a perfect opportunity for us, and I am really thankful that Sun brought this up to me because I honestly didn't even know about it before, and I was like, oh my gosh, hell yeah, let's do it, because this is like such I don't know, I just never knew about it. And the fact that it's a thing in my own area, like I'm so happy that I can have some help to create a band that I've always wanted. And especially with these people, the best people that I could ever think of creating a band with. But yeah, and so honestly, with creating the music and everything, we had a couple meetings, and honestly, just from that, I'm really getting hyped up to like make music. It's like connecting in my head. It's like making more sense to me every time we meet, and I think it's just going to keep being like that until we literally play together and just have it all figured out, basically. Yeah. All right.
Ariel, you want to throw in some 2 cents?
Well, yeah, a little bit. Same question, like, how do we feel about the show? I'm just, like, looking forward to just, like, be on the stage with all of you. I think it's going to be, like Sun said, have fun all together, like, on the stage, rock out, and I don't know, I've never experienced that, so I think it's just going to be fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
Lita.
Yeah, this is such a crazy opportunity. fate is actually crazy to have me meet up with like so many like awesome people and be able to like be like involved in like not only like my own like square but also the community as well. To have like an opportunity like that is really great. And you know, I've been trying. I literally have had a drum set since I was like a toddler,
Mhm.
and I haven't actually been pushed to actually learn until like now. So it is like it's definitely a great like change in my life and something that like I always wanted to do but never like had the opportunity to. And now that I do, it's like okay, yeah, now we're
It's
doing
like go
it.
go 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 go.
Go, we're
Go,
going,
go,
we're
go,
going.
go, go.
Yeah. Like what I'm kind of getting is that like it's something that like this particular organization, you know, kind of getting the four of you together is kind of like putting you kind of on track in like a way that you wouldn't really have without it, you know?
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Like before, being a band was just an idea that floated around like a what if, and then
Right.
Band Factory rolled around. I was like, what if we do this right now? What if we have no choice?
It's not like
We're
even
going,
what
we're going, we're
if. We're
going.
doing it. Yeah,
We're
We're
exactly.
like
doing it.
in the
It's
band now.
happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's a big dedication to make, you know, and I mean, you know, it's really cool to, you know, see that, LVGR has, you know, been a part of, you know, making that work out. And I guess real quick, I just want to ask, you know, even after this current season of Band Factory and everything, does, you know, like Kiki and the Bobas, you know, have plans to continue afterwards and everything, like after the show, you know, like anything, even if it's not like studio recordings or anything, just like are, you know, continued performances expected as long as, you know, all goes well for you in this first show?
Absolutely. I'd
I
love for us
definitely
to
hope so.
continue working. Yeah, we'd love to work as a band in our local community and like support local venues, support local businesses. I'd love to run like some of our own personal events if we can, like open mics and like shows with other local bands. I'd love to work with the other bands from this season's Band Factory. And I think a goal of mine is me personally, I don't know if I can speak for the rest of us, but we should get more music studio recorded and get an album out by the end of next year, maybe.
Yeah, nice, nice.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
if that's something to expect, then I mean, I'm sure people can, you know, stay updated about that on like your social media and everything. But yeah,
For
hopefully
sure.
that you know, comes to fruition if that's something that you do wanna, you know, pursue and everything. You know, I really hope that works out. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much everything that I had to ask. Real quick, you know, before you know we call everything wrapped up, is there anything that like any of you wanted to like mention or like plug shamelessly or no, like if there's anything you wanted to plug or anything like that, you know, that's totally
Let me
cool.
just plug Lehigh Valley Girls Rock again. Support the mighty cause. Don't just support us. If you see the other bands, like those guys are cool. Support them too,
For sure.
please.
Not as cool as
For
you,
sure.
but like
So,
still cool.
oh,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. We've got some tough competition. Some of the other bandmates
Absolutely.
I've seen are really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But we are
I'm
also confident.
yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you know, again, like as someone who has you know seen a lot of like the LVGR bands and stuff like that over the past like year or two, there's a lot of there's a lot of cool acts that are a part of it, a lot of cool bands. So yeah, I was gonna say if the rest of you have anything else to say, that's totally cool.
Ariel, did you want to mention something?
Well, yeah. Just something about the program that's really cool, like to let people know if they're interested. Because one of the great things is that you don't have to like know people to get in the band. Like they set you up with like a group if you're just by yourself, so you can sign up
Mm-hmm.
like on your own, and then they'll set you up with people that have like similar taste in music, and then you guys can create a band. Because that's what like we're six bands, so two of them I think we knew each other, I think, and then the other four were just random people put together, and then like brought their ideas, and they're doing it. So that's one of the great things about the programs and
Hmm.
fundraising. So like if anybody wants to do it, they can. Like anybody that
Yeah.
sees this, it's like I want to do a band. Like you have next year,
You
go
have the
ahead.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because this is this year's band factory, so you can always do, the camps, next year's band factory, all that. And that's what the fundraising for. There's also they do like scholarships. So like if somebody can't afford it, they don't have to really worry about that. They can just try, and work with them, and they'll help you out.
Hmm.
That's about the program. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of
great. Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I was
yeah.
gonna say thank you for mentioning that. I do think that's a really important part of Band Factory. I mean, you know, the chance that you know everyone kind of gets to you know be a part of it and everything is really nice. Yeah, I was gonna say Lita, if you had anything. If not, that's all good.
Um,
Sorry, I
I
don't
guess
mean
to
to put you on the
add.
spot
to-
here, just like asking
Okay. I have like nothing
Lita.
prepared for this. I just kind of went into it. I was like, yeah, okay. I guess to like add with the LVGR, like there's organization or not organization events for both adults and kids. So
Mhm.
yeah, pretty much anyone can do it. Um, I don't have much to add. I think you were pretty good with covering everything. So
Lita, would you like to take this time to hint at our other future plans? Because we have the zine coming up, but
yes, we have.
if you want to spoil anything, we've got a lot.
Is it like technically two zines?
Oh, yeah, we'll have a second
Sort
issue on
of.
the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Working
okay.
with a lot of like good small businesses or just like local artists in general.
Mhm.
We got a couple fundraiser plans too that are super exciting. Those aren't coming until a little bit later, but it'll hopefully be out soon.
November.
November. Yeah, November.
Yeah.
So those will be super cool. I think there was something else I'm totally forgetting right now. Oh, yes, we do have a couple Instagram posts that are coming up very soon.
Oh yeah.
And we do plan to be pretty active and be really silly. So yeah, we got a whole lot planned.
Yeah, all right, nice,
Yes.
nice. Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of Instagram and stuff, of course, your Instagram is linked in the description of this video. But I would say in terms of like overall importance, I would say most importantly, your fundraiser for LVGR also linked in the description, and I do hope that some people are kind of gravitated towards it because it is a really great nonprofit and it's a really great cause, and I recommend people, if they can spare a dime or two, go and support that because it allows great bands like you guys to like be supported and do stuff in the Lehigh Valley, which as a lifelong resident of this place myself is like a beautiful thing to see. So but yeah, Kiki and the Boubas, thank you so much for just like taking the time with me today. I really, really do appreciate it. It's been great
Thank
chatting
you.
with you guys. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for being a part of the first ever interview on this channel, which, is kind of a
So
big,
honored.
my channel's not that good. I would not be that honored if I
You're so
It's
humble.
so exciting
Oh my
for like
gosh.
a small band. Like being interviewed like this is like so like surreal, especially
it's
It is.
surreal for me.
because I used to
We're
be a
all
film
just out here
student.
doing it.
I used to be the interviewee. Oh, not the
Yeah.
interviewee, the interviewer. I used to be the
Yeah.
interviewer. I used to interview people, but being the one interviewed is like crazy. That's like this is like a first for me.
Yeah, well, I
So
mean, hey, I'm glad I could I'm glad that I can give at least maybe just like a little bit of exposure to you guys, and yeah, just again, thank you so incredibly much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for all
you.
the great questions.